Hello, hello, and welcome to another episode of Note Investing Made Easier, the podcast. I'm your host, Martin Saenz, along with Shawn Muneio. Shawn, how are you doing today?
Martin, it's another beautiful day, and it's good to be back in the saddle. We were all down in Destin for the weekend. Just the energy that was pulled from that event back here, now getting focused. It was great. It was a great event.
No, it was wonderful. I mean, we covered all the next level topics. Everything: capital raising, managing your RPLs, operations manual, branding, strategic partnership. I mean, there wasn't a topic we didn't touch. And we have our next mastermind coming up in downtown Sarasota on December 4th and 5th. So we actually moved the dates from the 10th and 11th based on people's schedules. So we have we're about 60% full. We have 10 people we're locking it in at. And the reason we're doing this back-to-back mastermind is because the first one sold out in 5 days. So we had some spillover and great high quality individuals going to this next one in Sarasota, and it's going to have its own unique feel and unique flavor, and I'm looking forward to that as well. Also, if you're new to note investing, you can check out the Note Investing Fundamentals Workshop, which is taking place on the 12th and 13th in Sarasota and our new offices as well. So come check it out. And so for today's topic, property repositioning, which is fancy way of saying taking back property, something that what's interesting about property reposition is it's actually some people's strategy for note investing. So they come into note investing and they're like, you know what, I want to exit through the property. I don't really care so much about the bar or their situation. I want to get the property back as soon as possible, whether through a deed in lieu or through foreclosure actions. And then that way they get the property back and then they exercise some other strategy, which is selling that property with seller financing or renting out the property, creating a turnkey rental for their portfolio, or flipping the property and just selling it straight out. So talk to I think the folks out there about what the strategy is for our company.
Yeah, thanks, Martin. Our strategy is very different, and in fact, we know the players out there who we compete against where their strategy is very different, and the pricing model is very different for the assets. For us, we're looking for long-term streams of income. And to get that, we're looking to keep the borrowers in their home and work with them to create a loan modification whereby we can deliver a payment plan for borrowers that's worked for their budget. And so keeping them in the house is our strategy. We're not taking back properties. But even though that's our strategy, as you know, we don't really get to pick the exit. We plan for exits, but we don't always get to pick the exits. And so sometimes, very rarely, we do in fact get the property back.
So in that case, when there is the point where we take the property back, we have essentially exhausted all other possibilities to keep the homeowner or whoever's living there in the home.
Yeah.
But there are cases where you're taking the property back. So let's take it, for example, because at the end of the day, whether you get the property back deed in lieu or you take it back through foreclosure action, is there really much of a difference when you're kind of starting from ground zero and you have the property back at that point and the property's vacated?
No, I mean, there's really no difference. At the end of the day, you got to try and figure out how to turn a profit, right? And so there's many ways to do that with a vacant property. You could sell it, you could turn it into a rental property. And so at this point, now you have the asset back. You've been putting money out. You bought the loan. You paid legal potentially. or you got the borrower to sign a deed in lieu, right? You've been spending. Now all of a sudden you have the collateral. Now you got to figure out how to run your exit through it. And so, there's work there now. The work's not done. For us, the work's done when the modification happens. The work continues now that you have the property back. You haven't done anything other than change the title on the property to your name. Now you got to figure out how to turn it into money.
So obviously, questions are asked when you take a deed in lieu. You have to understand what other kinds of liens and encumbrances there are on the property, because they will carry over. In the case of foreclosure, certain liens and encumbrances can be removed, but then certain ones remain on the property. So you have to be understanding of that. What comes to mind is, what's the first question you ask yourself when you take back a property?
Well, what's the first question I ask is, what's the property worth? And if there's liens in front of us, how much is owed? And so really at the end of the day, it's just very simple math equation that kind of comes to my head. And then I'm figuring out how to maximize the return, right? We don't want the property. We're not set up to rehab the property. And so our only exit is to either rent the property or wholesale it. So for us, how much is in it for those two different strategies, and how to get it off of our plate as soon as possible. It's like one of those things where we have a factory and everything's going down the factory, and all of a sudden you get this one weird thing that kind of kicks out of the factory, and you're like, all right, how do we deal with this? It takes more energy to deal with this one non-normal situation versus the ones that are going down the factory line, getting stamped out, right? And so for us, it's a distraction to the business, takes more energy. How do we get it off of our plate as soon as possible so that we can focus on what we want to do, and that's turn mods?
And I think that begs the third question, right? Who's in the property? Who's in the property? Are they paying rent? Are they family members living there for free? These are important questions. So how do we determine things like fair market value and who's in the property? What's our next step?
So to start with who's in the property, hopefully we found that out if we got a deed in lieu, right? And so we're always looking to tap people for information. And so if we get them to sign a piece of paper and they give us the property, well, you need to tell us the story, what's going on. We'll take this deed in lieu, but you need to tell us exactly what's going on with this property. If in fact we took it back through foreclosure, it didn't get sold third party, it comes back to us. We now need to look at, number one, what's the eviction situation in that state right now? Can we even evict, or are we stuck waiting for certain moratoriums to end? But in the meantime, we're going to send somebody out to the property to door knock, figure out what's going on. If we have zero information on the property, we need to go find it, and so somebody physically needs to go.
Yeah, because it's the clock is ticking, right? You have taxes are coming due, right, all the time. The other liens on the property, they're expecting payment.
Yeah.
So they might file for foreclosure, and if they're senior to you, they may take you out. And so, or the person who's in the property may be stripping it out, or you don't know what kind of condition they're leaving the property in. So the objective is just to secure that property as soon as possible. Send a realtor over, change if no one's there, change the locks out. If you're in a colder climate, you got to winterize the property if you're headed towards winter. And so really just securing your collateral. Now, the one thing I will mention is that you always need to be leaning on your legal partners, and that is deferring to them to go and have them, read your mortgage, read your note, and make sure that you have the right to secure the property if it's vacant, and change the locks and do all these other things. So, and I'm going to say hi to Aaron and Dwayne. Go ahead, Shawn.
Martin, it's like you now own the property, and like all these people are coming at you like wanting money, right? It's like I took back a property in Minnesota, and I got a letter the other day from the neighbor. Trees falling down on their property, like, you need to come and send somebody to clean this tree up. Like, the people are coming out of the woodworks knowing, hey, the bank now owns this property, like, I want some money. And so you thought you were going to exit, really smooth exit, right? I'm going to get my money, I did all this work, and the problems kind of compound now that you own this property, and the clock's ticking. You got to make money out of this deal. Not a situation we love. Some people love it, right? Some people love the situation. We don't.
Yeah. Yeah. And I mean, I think it's our portfolio, maybe 1%.
Yeah.
That goes through this foreclosure process. Yeah. And maybe a few other points that we have deed in lieu, and we go through other scenarios, but yeah, it's really like, who's in it, and do they have money to pay you? Like, are there relatives in it, and you could potentially sell the property to them, give them a mortgage? Is there or are the people in there able to pay rent? So to give an example, like, we took back a property in Virginia, Onacock, Virginia. It's out there in the Eastern Shore, in a remote area, in a fisherman town. And, we get word that I think the property's only worth like $60K or something like that in the situation it's in. But we had a realtor go and knock on the door, and turns out people are in there, and they're not the owner. And they must have been paying the owner at some point before we had taken the property back. And they offered to pay us $900 in rent if we allowed them to stay. So we own the property. We're in first lien position. And so what do? We create a lease agreement and keep them in the property. So there's ways, if something's cash flowing, right? So it's like, who's in the property, and can I cash flow based on who's in the property? Go ahead, Shawn.
That one's interesting because we were trying to do a modification with the owner of the property. I think we were looking for like $600 a month from him to do a loan mod, and he wouldn't do it. And, sure enough, we take back the property, and now we're getting 900, right? And we own the property. So it turns out a better situation. Now we've got everything's great as long as the tenant keeps paying and keeps the property nice, which, hopefully that goes on for the next 10 years, which is what happens when you get a loan mod. But if it doesn't, and we got to deal with the property, right? Bring somebody in and manage the property. But right now it worked out good for us. But we like things on autopilot, right? We like things on autopilot, and when they're not on autopilot, it becomes a distraction to the business.
Yeah, and well, I'd even argue. I know $900 sounds good, like you said, as long as they're paying, and when they stop paying, then, or they call us with issues or something like that. So I'd prefer just selling the note, even though I believe we'd be even Steven at best, and just being done with it, just because it's outside the process. So that's really the question, right? Is I think the first question, Shawn, is do you have a process, right? Do you have a process for your business, right? For the assembly line approach, for converting something non-performing into a performing state, and then so what is in there? What do you like that's in there, and what do you not like? Whatever you don't like, even though you may be able to squeeze some pennies, and I know some folks will disagree with this, you may be able to squeeze some extra juice out of the $900 payment in this case. However, because it's such a distraction and it requires additional focus outside the system, it's worth not having, or it's worth flipping the note and being done with it, or the property in this case.
Yeah, we've built a process for what we want to do. 99% of the time. And that's for loan modifications. We got a 6-lane highway that's built. It's beautiful. It's fast. But when you get a property back, it gets spit out of the factory, and it has to be handled with people, with your energy, my energy, and it costs more than it's worth for us.
So we get the realtor inside the property. That's our next step. We want him or her to assess the property and give us a better sense on fair market value and what we can fetch. But also, we always want to know days on market, right? How soon? So it's not enough to just say, oh, well, give me a number, 120K. Okay, well, 120K days on market. If I left it on market 30 days or I left it on market 120 days, because I want to know what the price is to get paid in the next 30 days.
Right, exactly. We want to unload it as quickly as possible, and so we're pricing it to sell from the beginning. The longer you hold it, the more it costs. And so, yeah, we're gonna go in at a very aggressive price. We just took back one in California, whereby we're able to get it sold within 14 days, right? Once we got the property back, and that's what we love, right? The quick exit, cash deal. We want to unload those as quickly as possible.
Yeah, and we even have one in California, and I have to give a shout out to Jose Gutierrez, and he's a professional note investor by all means, and highly respected. He's doing amazing things with note trades and whatnot, and note workouts, as well as he's a very successful real estate rehabber and investor in Southern California. So he took this property back, and I mean, he made it effortless in getting this property, turned over.
Yeah.
He went and got it listed. He went and got it immediately secured, right? Went there, nobody's in there, gets the property secured, gets his landscaping crew out there. They go clean up the property because we don't want the county or the city to come down on us. He gets the place. He gets the place. Hey, Dan, he gets the place cleaned out with all inside and out with total clean out. And then he gets it listed for us, and in 20 offers in 5 days on that one.
Nice. That was good. That was good.
So,
they don't all turn out like that, though.
No, not at all.
It's good when they do.
Yeah, absolutely. So the idea is, like, if you're going to note invest, even though your intention is to help with the homeowner and keeping them in their home, you're going to take back property. It's just part of things. So the thing is, don't wait till you take back the property through auction or a deed in lieu opportunity comes your way. You need to prepare. If you know that you're a few months out and it looks like you're going to get that property back through the auction, you should be pulling O&E report. You should be understanding where the other liens are. Have any of them file foreclosure, or are you the only one that's on the foreclosure track? And you should just kind of understand what the property's worth, engage with local realtors, let them know that you're going to use them on the back end to resell the property or to lease it out to a tenant, and try to get as much information as possible.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's not easy, right? It's a property, states away, and you got to try and figure out what it's worth. And the best way to do that is to get multiple opinions on it, not just take one person's word because it was easy, get it listed with them, and then you find out they sold it to their buddy for $50,000 under market value, just because you didn't know the area. And so definitely spend time, get a couple different opinions on the price, and do your own research too, right? There's plenty of tools out there where you can get evaluations on properties, and it's not an easy thing to do, but you need to get information from multiple sources before you decide what to do.
Yeah. And obviously search for a realtor. Don't find the first one that you see. Look for ones that focus on REO properties and connect with them. Make sure there's synergy. You might want to connect with a few realtors to see which one feels has felt out the property and can get you the most return. Sometimes you have realtors that just want to sell for the least amount so that they can transact quickly. So you want to kind of understand where someone's at with things. And then you want someone who's supportive, right? Who's going to help you with the clean out, help you with change locks, help you with, making sure that you don't have any county violations while you're transacting on selling the place.
Yeah, I took one back recently, and it was my realtor that I paid him to clean it out. He's like, this property needs to get cleaned out. I'm like, well, are you looking for work? Do you want a weekend job here? I'll pay you a couple grand to clean it out. And he's like, yeah, absolutely. And so he rented a truck, and he did it himself. I know it was perfect, right? Because he needs it cleaned out to sell it. He was willing to do it, and he did it. And so the more people that you can involve in the process that are kind of connected to the results, the better, right? And you could hire that out to a third party company, but why not give the money to the realtor who's already working hard for us?
Absolutely. So honor those relationships, I think, is what you're touching on too, is that if you talk to a realtor and they do certain tasks for you and they get you FMVs and they're responsive and they change locks, use them on the back end, right? Reward them with the job versus trying to save a point somewhere or something like that. They've obviously earned that trust and that relationship and reciprocate. Good stuff. Well,
Yeah.
this is what we have. Shawn, anything else you want to say on property repositioning? I when I hear property repositioning, all I think about is what can we do to buy better so that we take back less property? That's all that my mind's actually focused on.
Absolutely. How do we get that 1% down to a half of a percent? I think is really the strategy for us. But it's very different than other known investors who their entire strategy is to take back the property. And they know this part of the business way more than we do, because that's what they do every day. But for us, you've got to be prepared for it. It's going to happen. You still have to make money through it, even though it's outside of your process. And so don't think it's not going to happen, because it is.
Yes. And Jose Gutierrez will be at the December 4th and 5th mastermind
Nice.
too. So you can go, rock star guy.
You just called him out for sure. He better be there now, right?
Oh yeah. He's coming. So yeah, he had a 20 million plus fund in Southern California, very successful. He's a rock star in my book. Highly trust him. You and I have transacted with him, several times, and he's the best of the best. So it was awesome this past mastermind, and we got this other one coming up with people that we highly respect and we transact with, and we look forward to its own unique flavor for this next go around. And man, I learned so much in this past mastermind. I learned so much. That's all I can say. I look forward to the next one.
Absolutely.
Awesome. Well, thank you for joining us, guys, and this week. And this concludes this one. If you have any suggestions on topics, we can talk about anything note related. We do anyway, whether we're on camera or not. This is all we do, right? We're full time.
Yeah.
And exactly. So take care, everyone. Also, if you're new, Note Investing Fundamentals Workshop, sign up for that one, not the mastermind, just to be clear. Take care, everyone.
See you, Martin.